district certainly reelects him because he advantages them. But as a consequence, the state is dramatically split. They've got a reformist Republican governor, billionaire, at loggerheads with a multi-decade Democrat that dyed in the wool, union supporter, you know, shaft the rich, the whole shebang. And as a consequence, there's been no budget and there's been no action. And the only way anybody gets paid is because of court orders that basically say you can't let people die in the streets. You have to fund this. So when I poke fun at you for how bad California is, and let me tell you, California is off the scale bad.
I think we're.
But from a reference
we're so to the left. I don't think Russia
I'm actually at the bottom below you.
Well, you've got an asterisk, but you don't gasoline tax we have, so you know. You
oh, that's one of your nicest additions. That moved you to the top of the scale. You are the winner in terms of the gas tax.
Exactly.
You're the winner in terms of income tax now too. I mean, you're going to be last in line when Trump gets his new tax code through, and you can't drop your 13, 14, 15%, whatever it is. Which is like a holy shit, that's as much, way more than most people pay in federal tax, and you're paying that in state tax. I don't think that goes away when you get to be.
Wait a minute. What do you think the cost of lettuce is going to be if the drivers have to pay an additional amount per gallon just to get that to the other states? What do you think lettuce is going to run fresh?
I don't know. With 7 inches of rain and 3/4 of an acre, you know, I just dropped some lettuce seeds and tomato seeds out there, and I got lots of lettuce and tomatoes. And besides, we're in the Midwest. All of our stuff comes not from California, but from Chile. You know, all our.
Well, no, but it still has to come by truck or rail, and you got to pay that gas tax.
I know all the illegal aliens bring it over. You know that my biggest worry is the border wall will stop all the cheap food coming from the south.
You know the one thing that's that I'm starting to laugh at. They're talking about if you ever look up the automation in the farm industry, how certain types of crops are being actually harvested or soon to be harvested by mechanical robots and stuff like that. And now the necessity for the lower type labor is not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, that's a fight. Purdue brought that up with Trump, basically saying, look, we need to allow these illegals in, but I can tell you, John Deere with good vision systems is going to get to a point where they can pick strawberries, and they can pick grapes, they can pick apples, pecans, peaches, you name it.
Has been in the industry for a long time as far as
it has been, but the next step is going to be the addition of the vision, which is just going to blow. Avocados and what's that one? It's out of the cactus. Those are tricky. Yeah, you gotta look at them, and you gotta decide day to day whether
there'll be a marketing sticker on the item. It'll be hand picked. It'll be hand picked.
And I actually think that'll become more important than organic will be.
The ones they shit and piss on the fields.
Chavez tried to do that.
There'll be a label
Union
on there.
picked
$5 a pound for
fruit. Yep. Get one of those cheap robot pick. You don't want a cheap robot pick nut. Give me a break. Oh my God.
10 times the cost.
Those robots, they're taking anything that looks right in the right color, but if there's a worm head sticking out of it, they don't care. To them it's fine.
Well, you do realize that most of the produce, not the produce, excuse me, but if you get into like something simple as a potato chip, as it goes through manufacturing process and all that, it actually has, instead of having a group of ladies over a conveyor belt picking out the bad chips and all that, it's all computerized now, and they have little puffs of air that blow away. Love it.
I've watched some of those videos, and it's staggeringly amazing. They just sit there, as it goes by, all of a sudden, puff, puff, puff. flip
Actually,
off
they do
the.
some of the grading that way too, because it's more accurate than the human, because it's able to have computer
All this
samples of
robot
what's
stuff
perfect and
is,
all.
is
Yeah.
wonderful.
And then
And you know, I
Amazon. I
think as we
love to
go.
see Amazon picking and sorting stuff with little
Did you see?
robots that go
Did you see
underneath
the
the.
videos of that 200,000 packages sorted a day? They had these orange iRobot-like things that went up to a line, and a human took it off the conveyor belt and put it on the iRobot-looking orange thing, which I thought, boy, this is definitely for automation. But then the iRobot reads the RFID tag, and it went through this warehouse-sized floor that was, you know, it looked like it was like a couple football fields by a couple football fields. And then when it got to a hole, it tipped its side. It just lifted one side up, and the package slid off, and it went through the hole. And that hole, obviously, underneath was a basket that then went into an airplane that went to Seattle, and then went already pre-labeled, to the right neighborhood, and boom, you got your package. No humans involved. This
Well,
kind of
you
stuff
do
is great.
realize that the only reason, this is what's so ironic to me, the reason why they have robots is because when the cost of labor reaches a point where a robot is cheaper and is more reliable, then guess what? You get robots. That's why we have kiosks
Yeah, and
inside
the nice
McDonald's, and
part
you walk
about
up there
this,
and there is nobody there. They're
the
just the person
nice
just doing
part
the stuff.
about this is it increases efficiency so much that the overall production capability of the planet is going to go up dramatically. And as a consequence, we're going to be able to feed and house everybody on the planet by tending a few robots.
And
Probably more than a few
they'll
robots.
be able to afford the $15 per hour wage because there'll only
Yes,
be three of you in the building.
yes, yes. And I think this is ultimately going to be a wonderful result, but I think it's going to be difficult as we go through the transition period. I mean, every time when they went from horse and buggy to trains, and then they went to cars, and then newspapers to radio to television, every time there have been dramatic sweeps. And oh my God, you're going to put all these horse and buggy makers out of business. Give me a break. The end result was more employment in the auto industry. And then as the auto industry gets better and faster and more efficient, there's less employment. Why? Because you don't need as many people. And what is the result? Cars are cheaper. If you look at the total cost of a car, it used to be a car was a couple of years' salary. Now it's like, my car blew a
Wait a minute, the
tire.
cost of a car, the major cost of a car, as when it was originally made and today, the percentage of the federal regulations and the necessity of certain things being regulated have a greater percentage than when the car was first made. Granted, you're probably safer in a modern car, but that's where the cost comes in. It's not the actual manufacturing process, it's the regulations tacked on.
So what you're arguing, Penn, is that a highly regulated society, very much like what Obama, and very much like what is in California, is more expensive than a free society. Is that a synopsis of your comment?
Well, I hate to tell everyone here, but I don't care what you believe in or something like that. If there were two apples sitting on a counter and one was $1 and the other one was $8, regardless of your feelings, you're probably going to take the dollar apple if they are of equal size and equal quality.
You're telling me
That's
that
the way.
people won't pay $100 each way for tickets on your California Access? They were talking
Well,
about, and when Scott Walker killed the high-speed train that was going to go between Milwaukee and Madison now. Marky, this is a 50-mile trip. That's it, 50 miles. And there are buses that run every day from both the universities back and forth because people that live in Milwaukee work at Madison and people that live in Madison work in Milwaukee. The buses move around the city to get where the high populations are, and they get you in, and they've got Wi-Fi, and you can do an hour email at the beginning and an hour email at the end as you're sitting on the bus, and you can also talk with others. But they wanted $35 per trip. No, I take that back. It was $60 per trip. So it would have been $120 a day to go to and from Milwaukee and Madison. Let me get the calculators. This is starting to fade, but the 60 now sticks in my brain.
Well, I think the bottom line is a lot of people, it's funny, the very people that you try to prop up with a higher salary are the very people who are smart enough to say, wait a minute, I have this money and I don't know how long it's going to last. I better save it. And I just won't go on these trips that are expensive, or I won't do this, I won't do that. I haven't had money before. And then they figure, I don't want my future generations to be poor too. So that's the way it goes.
Yeah, it was $60. It was $30 each week, way $60 per day, which would have been $12,000 per year to go between Madison and Milwaukee as a consequence. Now that's 50 miles, $30. So that's only 75 cents a mile. I mean, if you were in the city, you'd pay 75 cents a mile. I mean, that's cheap, especially if you had groceries or stuff. But start piling it up over the course of a year, and it's a fair chunk of change. When they did surveys, they found almost nobody was willing to pay $12,000 a year to go between Madison and Milwaukee, especially when they
wait
had
a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You gotta also consider like California and all that. They love the cars, and if they,
Oh, I
here, wait,
know. I mean,
it's gonna be
they
a
like
car.
them
If I
here
can't
too.
drive my car here to there, then I don't want to. I'm not interested. Yeah, but you can
And
do
that
this,
was the
this, and
thing.
this. No.
When you worked it out, you had to own a car already, which means you had to have parking in your house, which in Milwaukee is grossly expensive. So you're already paying for the car insurance and local parking. Then you had to drive it across city, which is like 15, 20 minutes in the early morning and maybe 40 minutes later night. And you had to park it at the Amtrak station. It's only $4. Okay, plus your car cost and the half hour in the morning and 40 minutes at night and $4 and $60 per day. Now you're starting to talk about burning, and you need to get there a little early before the train goes, otherwise you miss it because there's only one per day. So as a consequence, you're burning like 40 minutes in the morning. You're burning an hour and a half on each side, to and from the train. You're donating the time. And then you're paying to park, and you're having to wipe your car twice, once in the morning, well, 3 times sometimes. And, guaranteed twice. And so as a consequence, when people started talking about it, they said, I'm not taking the train, I'm going to take the bus and let somebody else do the work. And they do. So Walker killed the train, and that was the end of that. And that nonsense went away. You in California haven't done the calculations yet and had somebody sane to basically say, hey, let's just kind of kill this. 65 billion already, and it hasn't been built. And once these things get going, they boom in cost. They're going to be 80 to 100 billion.
Yeah. So
You
what's
guys
your
are
point?
nuts out there.
What's your point?
I just said it. You guys are nuts out there.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yes, you're right.
See? I like it when you agree.
Well, I really have nothing to argue. All you have to do is listen to a city council meeting in the greater Los Angeles, and you know that everyone's doomed. And the only way it gets worse if you go up to San Francisco.
San Fran is a basket case. I read an article about the person that's trying to go against Nancy Pelosi using Bernie Sanders. Pretty good arguments. Nancy's going to have real trouble next time, 2018.
I think she's going to retire. I think she's going to retire.
She should retire.
Maxine Waters, wait to see Maxine Waters. They have a guy already set up for that.
Oh
And
God,
Maxine
Maxine
Waters,
Waters.
she's
She
gonna
went
retire
senile
or
years
she's gonna
ago.
be. Well, even if it wasn't senility, it would be something else. But she will not. I'm gonna take a wild guess, and I don't think Maxine Waters will be. She'll be retired by next time that they
I
take.
think Pelosi's gone too. She'll settle
They're
off
both
under her
gonna
little
retire.
wine farm. Yeah.
Even they will see how ridiculous they have become.
Oh God. I
And
mean, plus
Pelosi
the
was going to
Democratic
retire.
Party
Wait a
has
minute.
to do it. They have to get rid of
Pelosi
Pelosi.
was going to retire if Hillary had been voted in. She had planned on retiring because if she figured that everything will be taken care of. But since she's the last bastion of lunacy, that's why she held on. So it's Trump's fault.
Yeah, there's a certain logic to that. But the Democratic Party has to jettison her. I mean,
There's only
Perez
one
is
other.
Perez is
There's
stumbling around. We'll see if he turns out to be a good
There's
DNC.
one other politician who I think is the dumbest, and I think it's down. It's either in Mississippi or something like that, where where the it's either I forget what position he holds and all that, but he was worrying about the military building on this one island and wanting to make sure that they didn't put all their buildings on one side of the island because it might tip the island over. Now that's the dumbest one.
Working from the bottom here. Yeah. No, there's not a lot of looks. I'm looking at the current candidates in my area for potential House of Representatives nationally, and the one that was long-standing when I grew up got tagged because he wouldn't pay for garbage service. So every city council meeting on Monday, he would take all his garbage and load it in his car and park by the city dumpster and throw it there instead of paying for it. And one could say he's frugal, but he was, cheating the system. Finally got tagged by the city council. And he became a representative for multiple years. The current one that's our House of Representatives state-wise is looking at the national election. And she is just a total zero. Oh, it's just ghastly how bad she is. But nobody else is going to run. Nobody else has the name recognition. And as a consequence, once you become something like a state representative, yeah, you could have air in your head, but it doesn't matter if you're able to do things for people. They're not going to go against you. They're not going to bitch about you. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, she did this for me. Even though she's a total idiot, she did this for me. So, yeah, I'll vote for her. Because she was
I will
best.
have to agree with you. If your city and
Yeah,
your representative
I
are getting
know.
things
I know.
for you, and sure, they're silly that you're getting things that that we really don't
Yeah, I
need,
know.
but
It's
you're getting
stupid
them.
stuff. In our case, it was, home insurance on roofs. All the insurance companies are coming around basically saying, oh, your roof is bad and you have to get a new roof on your house. Otherwise, we'll take away your insurance. Well, it's great for the insurance company, but, the homeowners are being hit left and right. And the roofs are fine. And it was just like, oh, my God.
Well, you heard what happened to the idea that during the drought, if you watered your lawn to excess, then you got fined. Well, now that the drought is over, now if your lawn gets brown, then you are fined for having your lawn brown. So it's really schizophrenic type of thinking around here sometimes.
Somehow that feels properly Californian. Yeah.
The only place that I know of where you have a large amount of runoff water and snowpack and all that, where the water drains it right
Every
down
time they
into the
put up a
sea.
dam, I mean, I watched the disaster channel. And anytime there's a list of broken dams, it's just like, well, in this dam in central LA, It was built on unstable clay, and they used asphalt with cotton fiber in the asphalt, which is a whole quarter-inch thick. Now, I'm sorry, but putting cotton fiber, which means ground up jeans,
Wait a minute.
in
We do have
in
black
in
plastic balls in our reservoir to maintain the water level, or as a recreational type
I have seen those pictures. I
bounty
mean,
castle.
you took the entire black ping pong production for a year from some company
Exactly.
to
If you went to McDonald's, you would
coat
find a
that
black ball there because they all went to
reservoir.
California reservoir.
Why the hell did they do black as a color too? I never understood
Well,
that.
if you think about it and you really put some thought into it, there is no reason, but that's California.
You've had a whole slew of broken dams this last winter. Another one broke.
Yeah, you know
200,000
why,
people had to
don't you?
camper out.
Because it never counted on rain.
They got all this water flooding down like crazy, so you're desperate to get rid of it, and then suddenly you're in drought. The pattern in California is about every 6 years you get a really good rainfall, and you do get a really good rainfall about every 6 years. And that pattern has been going on for decades. Do you think you could plan for something that is known that happens rather consistently?
No, wait a minute. We do plan by sending all of our excess water down into the sea to fill it up again. So the world should thank us because we fill the ocean back up in California. Then we have.
So you are a major contributor to global sea level rise. Oh my
no
God.
water.
Because of you, that Greenland,
replacement.
the water is. It's not water replacement. You're flooding the oceans.
No,
You're raising sea level. You could be doing your part, Penn, to stop the global sea level rise, and you're creating wonderful systems to get all the water right into the sea, so that the level pops up.
All the foundations in Malibu on the coast, and so we watch the houses fall into the sea. It's an annual event.
Or every 5-6 years. That seems to be when the Pineapple Express hits. Is every 4, 5, 6 years. Boy, when it hits, it really hits. Holy shit! But the amount of rain you got, the amount of rain you guys got during that Express and the over the winter. I mean, we just got that this last weekend, 7 inches. I mean, that's 70 inches of snow. Oh yeah, it's all sitting there. I mean, if we don't drain all our water out of the land into sewers and local drainage ditches, finally get it to a river, we'll convert back to the swamp that we were 150 years ago. You know, the number one killer in my state, the late 1800s, was malaria, because we were a giant swamp. And the reason why Chicago is where it is, it was the only dry land in the whole state until you got to southern Illinois. Everything else was this giant mud puddle.
Channel going across the United States, where all the excess water can be drained into
Indiana, Missouri, and Iowa are also all the best.
Take all your water off your hands.
In this country was literally just swamp 150 years ago. And malaria was the biggest killer of people in my state, because we were in a swamp.
Water slides in your state. You get there in the water slide, and it shoots the water down there, and it continues on down to California.
It's still staggers me thinking about that malaria was our biggest number one killer in my state, 150 years ago. The Anopheles cannot and does not do very well. Die off, and the larvae die off and go away. And you really have to have lots of water and no action and lots of mosquitoes from down south to be able to get Anopheles and malaria.
We get fined if we have any standing water. So in other words, if you have a pool and you've drained it for the winter for whatever reason, which most people don't do, and you have a small amount because of the rain, if you don't clear it out, then you get fined for mosquito harboring because there's a chance that you'll have mosquitoes coming in.
That was the thing I liked about living in Oregon because 4 months, 5 months out of the year, June, July, August, September, October, sometimes a little earlier, a couple of weeks, sometimes a little later. Absolutely no rain, zero, none, zero. You
Oh, but you know what's wrong with Oregon right now, don't you?
well, they
They're
got
having
lots
a
of
problem.
Democrats.
Well, no, what the problem is they're trying to generate money with the use of lotteries, but you can't have just a lottery shop. You have to have like a sandwich shop that sells lottery tickets. And then they had somebody try to buy a sandwich in one of the places and they couldn't get a sandwich. The guy says, "Oh, we're not making sandwiches today." It was just there so they could have the lottery, sell lottery tickets.
The big problem, and this is, kind of a juxtaposition against you, Penn, with Oregon, is all the damn people from California kept coming north.
Not
Five
anymore.
seemed to be this
No, not
arteria,
anymore
feeding
because
the
they got smart.
homeless coming
No,
north.
they got
I mean,
no, they
Eugene
got
was just
smart.
filled brimming with all these California rejects. It's like,
No.
okay, I'm a criminal.
Wait a minute.
They're going to arrest me. I got to get out of the state. Hop onto 5, pop up to Oregon. Yeah, I'll camp in the National Forest. When they went through the National Forest one summer and decided, well, these are national forests. We shouldn't have people living in them. We'll chase out the 2 or 3 people that might be living. There were hundreds of people living full time in the national forest, and they went through and they camped them out, and they all came into the city, and the mayor was aghast. Oh my God, we got all these people. They're homeless. We got to do something. We will let them live in the city parks. And everybody in the city said, "Are you crazy?" And everybody around the city park said, "This is nuts." But the mayor said, "Well, this is a good idea. We're not using the parkland for anything." So nobody could go to the parks anywhere because all the homeless were there. And then everybody that lived around the park started putting up chain link fences. Why? Because the homeless needed water and would steal. They're all of California's rejects.
Oh dear. Better call a mercury tax. And what it is, if you have an opinion that differs from everyone else, you're taxed there. You own a recreational vehicle, and as you travel from throughout different parts of the United States, the places like Walmart will allow you to park there overnight so you can get rest and maybe buy something at their store and then go on your way and all that. When you get to California, you can't do that because they don't want anyone doing anything but staying in the motel, staying at whatever RV parks there are in California, all that. They're very strict on that. That doesn't sound very open, does it?
Manu wanted to talk, but I was talking with you, so I basically sent her a TP. We'll see if she comes so we can all talk together.
Who's that?
Manu, Seattle. She's from Seattle.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
you can argue then. I'll just sit here and listen.
No, she hung out a lot at, I was Ahern Door. Was it Bonifacio? That was it. Yeah, the other side from Ahern.
Now, does Grimm come on at all
Yeah.
to SL anymore? But he must be.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He's coming on later, I've noticed. He's gotten into drugs as he's gotten into his new house. He settled down. He must have gotten some money because suddenly he's got new cars and a new house, and he's much happier.
Oh, well,
Kind
good
of
for him,
nice
I
to
guess.
see. Yeah, yeah, I think it is good for him. We were talking about, how to invest your money and all this, and I think he did some of that, but he also kind of figured, hey, I'm living, I gotta live now, time to, and so he did, and it's been nice to watch it. Anybody that buys a riding lawnmower is reasonably well off.
Well,
Gave me a
depends on the
picture of
size.
it. It's
Wait a
not
minute.
a great riding lawnmower. It's not,
It
Uber.
depends on
It
the
is
size of your
a
yard.
riding lawnmower like Lowe's or Home Depot, but it has all the basics. It does all
If
the
you can make
necessary.
one pass of your yard with a riding lawnmower, that's success.
When I moved into this place, the previous owner, like I had done to an owner of one place I owned, bequeathed me his riding lawnmower. And sent it out to the John Deere place. The guys came back saying, "Man, this thing has hardly been used. It's great, even though it was ancient." It's turned out they were right. It's turned out to be a wonderful. I love the damn thing. And what a good grass catcher.
I should probably change it.
I'm quite happy with it.
Does it get? I like Batman. I like Batman.
Roger
Batman's
Grimm
good.
is
The only thing
but-
is, like,
in the Midwest. He's south
Bruce
of me a
Lee's
little
good
bit.
too. Bruce
He had
Lee's
enough
good.
land.
too many people ask me, like,
you know what?
am I Batman? I'm so sick of
My
it.
biggest issue this summer is making sure that I use the rototiller, which was also
How's it going,
bequeathed to me
Batman?
by the previous owner,
Yeah,
which turned out to
yeah, it's all
It's all
good.
right.
It's all
be
good.
Wow, rototiller.
it's composted.
It's good to see it.
The 3/4 of
What's up,
an
my
acre
nigga?
produces with mature trees, lots of leaves.
Not much, man. Not
Round
much.
them all up with the John Deere and dutifully stack them, but I gotta
Sounds
make
like
sure-
yard work.
It is, but when you have proper power tools with
What about yourself, dude?
8 and 17 horses behind
No,
you,
no, I'm with
Wow.
Zarina.
mostly ends
with
up
Serena.
being
We're
riding.
gonna do
and
the-
watching.
You're gonna
We're gonna
have
do
to
the
wear
homo
a
stuff
straw
tonight,
hat
probably.
with a
We're gonna
piece
do
of
the
straw
homo
coming
stuff.
out
We're
of
gonna
your
get
mouth.
into it.
I
You have
could
to
do
till
that,
your
but
yard.
It's all on. It's on. Oh yeah, it's on. It's on.
power tools
Oh
are
yeah,
great.
it's on. It's
when they
on.
break, you
Oh yeah,
call up the John Deere guy and
it's on.
let him bring out his trailer and pick it up and take it into his shop and get it all fixed up. At the end of the day, it shows
This
up
is what
back in your
happens.
driveway, and
This
life
is what
is
happens
good.
when you've got a lack of
You
females,
have to think about it.
and you start looking at guys
That's
like,
what
oh yeah,
happens
okay, I'll
in
probably,
the Midwest.
I'll probably sleep. I'll probably
Flyover
sleep
country.
with her.
Now, in California, you'd have to be worried. Is the engine carb compliant? California
minute,
Air
wait a minute.
Relations
They-
Board. California
Wait a minute.
Air Regulations Board.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Can't
The
be
great-
2-cycle. It has to be
No, no.
4. They never approve anything
no,
that's 4
No,
2-cycle.
no. Dear leader, what he did was he turned it around, and we can turn in our nasty gasoline powered mowers, and we can get a rechargeable one for next to nothing
A
cost.
coal-powered mower from the Four
Right,
Corners
I've got
plant,
a,
so that
got a
all
joint-
that
I've got a
nasty
joint ready to
CO2
go.
and
got a really
mercury
good joint.
and
It's ready to
other nasties
Here we
go
go. Gonna smoke
over
it.
and reign over the Navajo
That's right.
tribe. That's such
Over, wait,
an
over.
idea, Penn. I wonder.
I said
a
no.
wonderful
I love
idea.
my lawnmower. It makes noise. The neighbors actually see it.
Well, until they close San Onofre, where you're making radioactive.
done. It's done. It's already
it-
closed.
That's been closed. Yeah. Toshiba came in. That's what killed Toshiba, by the way. They came in with a reactor design they hadn't proven, and as it turns out, there was a good reason to have reactor designs tested and proven because it did not work. Yes, it was a little more efficient, but the tubes clogged, and as a consequence, they had to shut it down.
Turbines and the wind, it makes it look like they're still working. They got everything planned in California.
That's a genius idea because that was one of the biggest things that I noticed when I was in Hawaii and I was
Yeah,
driving
I
through
went
Hood
to,
Valley and the
What
Columbia.
you do is if they're
I
not
went
working or stuff
to,
like that, you just have them sun powered and then have them, turn the props So it looks like it's working.
When
You
Yeah,
want
it's
those,
synthetic
otherwise
vibrations.
they don't get lubricated.
That one that you got banned from.
Oh my
About
God.
that,
I
I'm
just
just talking
went
about
to it.
just being
And
able to.
plus, how
make
it
a-
looks
Where?
is so important.
Where?
I mean,
went
if you've
to-
got a
Exactly.
wind
I went to
turbine and
Adam,
no
Lazy
wind
Adams.
that's
I went
not
to Lazy-
turbine.
I got
It's
got
worth
pushed
it to
out.
put a gas
pushed out.
generator in
I
the
got pushed
wind
out.
turbine.
That's why I came back here. I got pushed out of Lazy Adam. They didn't like me because I had an opinion. I had an opinion. They didn't like it. They were like, "What?"
To reintroduce the solar
You can't
dryer
have
or
freedom of
clothes
speech
dryer.
here. You can't have freedom of speech in Lazy Adams.
I remember
No,
those.
we don't
yeah.
have. We don't have freedom of speech.
They were
Now
Who-
with
who
wind
is
power,
there?
you've got air freshener installed.
well, you get out west. I mean, by the time you hang the clothes up outside,
I can't remember everybody.
Is it like
line,
was
you literally can go
Frags
fill
and
the line
Chasm?
and then go
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to the start.
yeah.
And
They're all
Yeah,
faggots,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's amazing.
Yeah,
how
They're
fast
idiots, man.
it
There was.
dries out
Yeah,
west.
and then you
You're
said
right.
you said
That's who-
Have you
that's who
seen-
is that
Have you
such
seen
a
what
negative
Frags
thing
looks
that
like?
that
Do you want
can
to
be
see what
just-
Frags looks
No,
like?
the only
Looks like she's got
issue
Down
is
syndrome.
it does restrict
She
you at
literally looks like-
times. I mean, you kind of have to, and if it occasionally rains, you can't do it. But
Let me
you have
expose
to
her,
get
man.
out
She
there
looks
during
like
the-
she
the
literally
day.
looks like
You're not
she's
gonna
got
go
Down syndrome. Like
hang clothes
there's something wrong with her
and unhang
face.
them,
Like one half
in
of
the
it
middle
sort
of
of
the
like
night,
doesn't
and it's
function
kind of
properly or
Yeah,
something.
people to
Can't hang
dryers
your dirty laundry out there, I guess. It'll say it says.
No, seriously, I'm not even
Can't
like
steam it.
exaggerating because I don't like her. I
I
like
wanna
can't
see-
do those.
Oh, they got
I
a
wanna
new
see
dryer,
bags,
a new
yeah.
clothes
I'll
dryer,
post it.
ultra
I'll
pull
post it
down.
to you guys, but just
they hook the water up to
post
it,
it
so
by
if you
Fuzzy, I'll
decide,
post it.
oh, I
I
need
love
to
Well,
loosen
that's
this
Frags,
up, I
guys.
can punch this button and steam it. Yeah.
Of course, everyone needs a steam dryer too.
Nicest part about mine is it's easy to program the thing down 15 minutes. So
I mean,
I'm on a
that's really
15-minute
low
cycle.
quality,
I
right?
just
I mean, you can
toss the
pretty much
clothes in,
count the
punch it for
pixels on that
15
picture,
minutes,
right? And she's still
take it about half,
ugly.
let 'em
So
air dry naturally so they're over
I
dry.
don't know,
and
man.
then
Like
punch
she's in the
second
dark,
time,
you
and
know,
that's it.
really low
Doesn't
resolution
use that much
picture.
fuel at all.
Are you
Oh,
really
that's-
talking
No,
about
but
how
still
when you're
looks like
drying
fancy.
clothes?
That's
The
amazing.
process you're explaining to us
Do you have
how
a
to dry
washer
how you
dryer
dry
all
your
in one?
clothes.
I think she's from the Netherlands or something. Sprechen the Netherlands.
I've always
It's-
wondered why those
it's-
haven't developed more.
Sprechen
Where you just
the
put your clothes
Well,
in
you see,
and
I
then
put them
they
in
wash
there
them
and I
and then
put
they
it on
yeah.
like 10 minutes and then I wait and then I take them out of the dryer about 10 minutes later.
Yeah, but the thing is,
10
the,
minutes. It can't be 10 minutes.
the difference between a washer and a dryer is almost nothing. I mean,
You can't
especially
have.
I'm-
Wait. They probably have, but you normally don't put a washer and dryer combination in one unit.
Oh, I know,
because
but
of the
you
amount
know,
of
there's nothing
rust and all the rest
technically
of it that would
from
generate.
doing it. It's really simple. When I look at my washing machine, they could very easily make that a dryer too, so that after it's done washing, it just
Sprechen
stops
the
and then it
Netherlands.
flips. Typical dryers.
I've got him muted. We get on, but we don't. We get on, but we don't. That's how it works. We get on, but we don't. Because he's got
Well,
a
you-
bitch now, and ever since he's had
I
like
just,
that-
you know, I
ever
pop
since-
them in the dryer there,
Which
and
bitch?
I turn the
Which bitch?
knob
He's had
there
that
for
bitch.
10 minutes, and then,
Which
you
bitch?
know, after
that
10
Netherlands
minutes,
bitch.
I
Ever since
take
he's
them
had
out
that
of there,
Netherlands bitch,
and they're
it's
dry.
changed, man. He's not the same person anymore. He's not the
I
same
mean,
person.
when
He's
I
not
look at
changed
the
anymore. He's
washer versus
someone else.
the dryer, I have Samsung.
He's
The only difference.
Apparently
with,
he's a Muslim.
The
If you use
washer-
Samsung, you
No
got to worry
way.
about the battery
Oh, yeah.
exploding,
Oh,
catching your clothes
oh
on
my
fire.
God.
Sometimes I might have to hit it
Because-
like for 2 more
only
minutes,
difference
Adam's-
is
Adam's-
the form
and
factor
I
for
open
the
it up,
washer
and,
is top loading,
and
which
I
I
take them
chose.
out, and they're
The
dry.
dryer is side loading, which I chose.
Adam's
Yeah,
a
They could
Muslim,
very
he's
easily
much.
make it a
like right
front
into
loading
Islam.
washer, so that it looked like a dryer, because they make a lot of front loading washers. They're more popular than what I have, top loader. And then they just flip to be in a dryer. And it'd be so trivial to do. And they don't do it because they don't make money. Because people are used to buying a washer and dryer. I mean, most people want to put their clothes in punch a button, and then come back in
And
an hour,
the
hour and a
cunt.
half.
She's
You
from
punch a
Belgium.
button,
She's from
Yeah,
and
Belgium.
then you
you
come
put
back
the
in an
clothes in when
hour,
you're going to
Oh, is
work.
that where she's from?
and you
You
take
punch the
them
buttons.
out.
You don't care for
You
how long
just
it
push
takes.
the buttons for an hour,
And the cunts.
come
Yeah.
back, and then you take your clothes out.
Once I get the folding
Put the
robot
hand
free,
in the cunt.
then maybe we'll see the change.
So funny when I say that, even though I say that like all the time. It's so funny. Haha.
Sometimes I'll make myself a glass of iced tea and go sit on the porch while the clothes are drying.
Sweet.
Growing tobacco, you're in big trouble. But if you grow cannabis, it's not that bad. But if you grow tobacco, ooh, yeah, no, it's like
Really?
really. Oh yeah,
Why?
growing tobacco is worse than growing
Why
cannabis
though?
here.
That doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like tobacco is legal. I don't get it.
Tobacco's like worse illegal than cannabis. Cannabis is okay, but if you grow tobacco, ooh, nah, you will go. You know, you get arrested for that shit.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man.
Growing tobacco is actually quite easy if you know how. It's not that hard.
I might actually call up my bro and go over to his house and steal a few cigarettes, because I don't know if I can last the whole day without cigarettes.
Yeah, that's the guy, man. Do it. Go and see your bro. Go and
No.
see your
Oh, do you wanna hear what Hector sounds like?
sister. I think you've got a sister, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a little sister, yeah.
How old is she?
29, I think.
Ooh, is she nice?
I can't really say, like, maybe.
I guess you can't. I guess you can't. I guess you can't say that
If
because you're
you
like
if
her
you
brother,
consider
and you're
them
like,
sisters, yeah.
you'd be like, oh yeah, I
She-
can't say.
Oh yeah, my
But
sister's well cute, man. Well hot. Yeah. Fucking that ass. Nah, my sister's
She's
cute. She's cute, but she's got a baby and she's married, so she's
oh, what the fuck? That's no good.
Yep.
That's no good. She's married and she's got a baby. Oh no. Well, that's cool, man. I kind of I remember that you said you had a sister. I was like, what the fuck? You got a sister?
Yeah, I've got a little
I was
brother.
thinking,
Got a little brother,
wow.
little sister. Don't speak to him though.
Well,
I don't even know like where my little brother is. I know where my little sister is. So I don't know where my little brother is. In fact, the last time I spoke to him was about 10 years ago. I think 10 years ago or so.
It's weird that you've got a little brother.
Yeah, we're nothing alike. We're nothing alike. My little brother is just a little. He sucks up to my mother and stuff. So we're just completely different. You wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to tell we're from the same family. Like, we look nothing alike. Got nothing in common. Nothing similar about each other. Like, if you saw us like both together, like, you wouldn't think we're from the same family. Cause I'm much taller than him. I'm much more handsome than him, and stuff like that. He's a bit of a nerd. He's a bit of a geek, etc., etc. Rising stuff, yeah.